Welcome to She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. I'm your host, Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and this podcast are the audio versions of my live Q&A chats on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of the live Q&A chats, come on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. I'm live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. We talk about voiceover, the business of voiceover, audiobooks, and so much more. Find more information on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Enjoy today's episode. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. Always glad to have you here. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some tips and tricks and techniques and things that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we come together in these weekly chats on Tuesdays to talk about usually a topic, maybe 5. We'll see how it goes. Anywho, if you're not new here, then you know every week we have a new poll, which is usually the topic of the day. Again, we'll see how that goes. And today's poll is, do you record or produce more than audiobooks, or do you fully explore the world of voiceover? Because I think a lot of us don't realize just how much voiceover work there is out there. There's a lot more than you probably realize. I sure as heck didn't know. When I first started, I just wanted to do audiobooks. And then people would start asking me, clients would start asking me, hey, can you do this? Or can you do this? And I was like, well, why the heck not? I never thought of that before. And then you just go, okay, well, what else is there? And then you start Googling, and then you start, doing the research on all of the sites and things, and you start going down all of those rabbit holes. And then you're just like, oh my gosh, I never thought of all of those opportunities. And then once you're in it and you're actually doing some of these voiceovers that you never thought of before, and then you discover more. And then you have clients ask you for more, and your mind is just blown, right? There's so many opportunities. There's so many opportunities out there that we just don't realize. And today we're going to go over a handful of them. I had to write them all down so I wouldn't forget them. Anyway, stop distracting myself. Let's get back to the poll. So it looks like 36% of you said I only produce audiobooks. 33% of you said I record more than audiobooks. And then 32%, so it's a pretty even split between the 3 different options. And 32% of you haven't recorded anything yet. So I'm hoping that something that is said today, either by myself or the wonderful people in the comments, if you are watching and you have something that you know of that is maybe needed, maybe something that you do in your voiceover business or something that I haven't said, please add it. That way everybody has, because you never know what somebody's niche is going to be, right? I feel a tangent coming on. But You hear the term money voice, right? The money voice. And that is basically what clients are asked you the most for, right? The tone, the pace, the delivery. That is what people or clients ask you the most for. That's considered to be your money voice. And everybody has a different voice and approach and perspective, as I always say. Voice actors represent the world. So there are so many different perspectives on things and approaches and, interpretations, right? So you never really know what's going to be your niche, what's going to be the type of voiceover that perhaps that you enjoy, that you're hired for often, and perhaps something that you could even laser focus in on to approach, to reach out to people who make this kind of content to see if your services would be needed, right? Anywho, all right, I'm getting off my tangent horse. Let's go over to the comments really quick. We'll do a few comments just to say hello, and then we'll start talking about all the different types of voiceover. I did see that Caesar was back. Caesar, I'm so glad that you're feeling better. I'm getting worried about you. Oh, hi, Angela. Oh, hi, Caesar. Yes, I record and produce more than just audiobooks. I've used my voice for local radio commercials in the past, done IVR in the early 2010s, and recently produced an online commercial. Good for you. It was for Pampas Grass Home Decor, and I did the recording, mixing, and mastering, the actual product shoot, as well as video editing. In the future, I'd also like to branch out to other forms of VO. And this is actually a good point to piggyback off of. As I have said multiple times in other videos, if you have any of these skills, because audio and video marry beautifully together, if you already have these skills, or if these are skills that maybe you're interested in learning more about, I highly recommend looking into them. After all, there's nothing wrong with having more skills, right? The more skills you have, the more you can offer. Especially on these marketplaces that we're on, like Fiverr, Upwork, right? Where you can offer more than one skill set. If you have video editing skills or can teach yourself to, you could be the one-stop shop for that client who needs both. Instead of hiring two freelancers, they can hire just you, and you can do it all. I've taught myself how to do some video editing. I'm not the greatest in the world, I know that, but I get better the more that I do it, and the more that I learn, the more I experience, right? It's just in the getting in it and doing it. So if you have video editing skills or can teach yourself to do video editing, or even a step further, if you can do the product shoots, if you're technically inclined with cameras and, all of that stuff, I can feel that tangent. I'm pumping the brakes on it right now, I promise. But offer all those skills as a package deal, right? Why not? Both the performance and technical aspects of VO and its related industries interest me. I also enjoy sharing what I know with others so as to enhance their production capabilities. I think you should, Caesar. That said, hello, everyone. For those who may have noticed my absence, we did. I am back. Those who haven't, well, now you know. Plenty of catching up to do this week. Have a duet with Ellie Anthony. That's awesome. We'll have to talk about that on Thursday. Fun. Kathleen H. is here. Hello, Kathleen. Hello, Angela. Hello, Caesar. I'm glad you're back. Was getting a little concerned. I think we all were. I've only done a few audiobooks. I'm working on my third. Good. I think I might need a coach. I don't seem to be very self-motivated. This worries me a lot. I don't seem to be entrepreneurial material. And the first step is to not say things like that to yourself. You are entrepreneurial material. It's just a shift in mindset. And it's difficult. I know it was difficult for me because when you get to, let's just say a certain age, you're used to working for other people. You're used to being told what to do. And so when you become an entrepreneur, you tell yourself what to do. And it's a completely different mindset shift. You have to think like a CEO. You are the CEO. You're the one that calls the shots. You're the one that makes the schedule. You're the one that has to do the marketing. You are the one that determines what you do at this time, what you don't do at this time, so on and so forth. It's now up to you. And that is incredibly liberating, but at the same time, a little bit intimidating. Dare I say terrifying for some. It is definitely a different mindset shift. And that is what needs to take place in order to get this done. But recognizing when you say things to yourself like, I can't, I don't, I won't, you have to stop all of that nonsense right now. Because you can. It's just a matter of learning the way to do it that is right for you. But recognizing when you talk to yourself, that negative self-talk, those limiting beliefs, when you limit yourself by telling yourself that you can't, or you can't, you don't, you won't, you have to stop all of that right now. Mom, look. Also, my day job has me working Thursday nights now. I seem to be the excuse queen of the world today. Yeah, no excuses. No more. We're done with that. No more excuses. Okay. I think I hate making people wait to the end of the video for what they came for. It always irritates me. So let's do this. I'm going to leave the comment there. And then I'm going to pull up my list because I don't want to forget them. But there are lots of different ways to offer your voice as a voiceover artist. Not only audiobooks, but there are also different types of other long-form narration, which is what pretty much the category of audiobooks falls into. But apart from that, there's also documentary narration. If you think, if any of you watch like National Geographic or, all of the Planet Earth type of movies, documentaries about the planet Earth and the animals in it, you've got e-learning, which could be many different types. There's medical, there's, online courses. I'm sure we have all sat through an onboarding video or two when you start a new job. That's a voiceover artist who records that stuff. I do it all the time. There's the training videos, promotional videos. There are explainer videos that you'll see on YouTube that go through the how-to and how to use something or how to start maybe a new job, a new hobby, right? Those are all explainer videos. Perhaps maybe... if you're looking to get into purchasing new insurance, they may have an explainer video that explains what the insurance policy covers, right? If you really start to think about all of the categories and then the subcategories and then the sub-niche categories underneath those, tons of opportunities. Museum or gallery audio guides, right? For people who want to walk around on a museum on a self-guided tour. They've got a voice actor in their ear explaining everything that they're looking at. Right? Of course, we've got, other than long form, we also have tons of different kinds of short form, right? There's radio ads. You hear them on the radio all the time. TV commercials. Obviously, who hasn't seen one of those? There are also online ads for social media, YouTube. User-generated content is a buzzword that you're probably hearing a lot of, or UGC, which is user-generated content. This is like people who are affiliates for different stores or businesses that will make content to promote somebody's product or, and then put it onto Instagram, TikTok. Maybe they don't like the sound of their own voice. Maybe they hate the AI voice that is supplied on some of these platforms and would rather have someone professional to record these that knows how to do it. User-generated content. Demo videos. Same, YouTube. I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities in just the YouTube category alone, right? And then, of course, we've got animation and character work. You've got video games, you've got animated films and TV shows. There's dubbing, right, for anime or like foreign films. Cartoons, of course, right? Movie trailers, TV show promos, podcast intros and outros and other kinds of segments. I've also been approached to be the voice of a podcast because the podcaster didn't like their voice and they wanted to hire someone else to record the series episodes for them. There's jingles, there's theme park attractions, right? So if you're standing in line at Disneyland and you have an overhead voice saying something about a special going on, I don't know, but voice actors get hired for that too. Oh boy, we got a lot, and I hope you're comfortable. Telephone on-hold messaging, right? Otherwise known as IVR, which is an interactive voice response. That's what IVR stands for. But phone trees, when you call into the dentist and it says, for Dr. So-and-so, press 1. For billing, press 2. I do a lot of those. Voicemail greetings. You've got, we touched on those like safety and compliance videos. OSHA has all of their compliance videos. If you're, onboarding somewhere that has mechanical equipment that you need safety, briefs on, your voice actor records those. I've done a lot of those. Sales presentations, investor relations content, when they send a sales pitch perhaps to an investor. It could be real estate, right? When you're doing like a virtual video walkthrough, sometimes that's a voice actor. We already did e-learning, educational apps, language learning programs, scientific or technical tutorials, stuff for the government. Emergency announcements, instructional videos. I wrote down all kinds of stuff. Tourism and travel information. Excuse me. I do a ton of medical narration where I'm explaining how to do certain procedures, how medical devices or certain kind of pharmaceuticals work and how they're beneficial. Fitness and yoga apps. I've done a bunch of yoga apps and meditation and mindfulness, a lot of meditation and affirmations, hypnosis. I've done them for spas. I've done them for personal use, which are very custom and, focusing in on what the client wants to focus on, like they'll listen to my voice as they sleep. I know. Of course, when you get into technology and AI, if you wanted to be an AI voice, you could, but how we feel about that. GPS and navigation systems, virtual reality. I've done a few voiceovers for virtual reality games. Foreign film dubbing, we talked about ASMR, right? Some people really like the whispers. For ASMR recordings, gosh, there's so much sports commentary. There's the live stuff, live TV announcements, award announcements, event, what else? Political campaigns. I know, I can hear the eye roll from here. Those of us in the U.S. just went through months of that. Those are voice actors that record those. We did live events. Art installations, character voices for theater or experimental type things. Sound effects, which is kind of hand in hand with character work and video games where there is like fighting scenes when you're grunting or you're running. There's all kinds of stuff out there. And these are just the things that came to my mind. A lot of these I have done myself. The majority of them I have done myself. So there's a whole lot more out there than just audiobooks. So what I recommend is with all of these that I've just thrown at you, choose something that sounds interesting to you and then go down that rabbit hole. And if you want to, I know a lot of voice actors who focus in on a specific niche, like they'll pick one of those things and then they'll focus in on reaching out to companies who make that kind of content or making themselves available to people on perhaps social media to be the voice of their UGC content. If you want to do it that way, you can, or you can just go wide and be on places like Fiverr, Upwork, and just sort of have an umbrella gig or a profile where you're open to anything and everything. But my point is that there's so much more out there than I think we even realize, and probably even sub niches of all of those. So try everything, because you never really know what you're really going to enjoy or really be good at. I never thought that one of my best-selling gigs would be meditation. Never in a million years. But that's one of my best-selling gigs, is the meditation, affirmation, and hypnosis. You never know. So don't close yourself off to just audiobooks. Try something else out. You never know. All right, let's get back to the comments and see who else is here. My cup of tea is here. Hello. Howdy, y'all. Nice to be back in a live stream. Nice to have you back. Glowen is here. Hey, Glowen. Haven't seen you in a while. Good afternoon, everyone. I haven't actually recorded anything yet. I have auditioned, but not yet been paid for anything. Just keep auditioning. Keep auditioning. I am finally going to be able to dedicate time to this. I have been struggling with the full-time work, and VO work has been a monster. Though now it seems it should be manageable. That's good. That's good. I mean, even if you can dedicate an hour, a half an hour, a day, you might have to sacrifice a little bit of sleep or a little bit of time doing other things you enjoy. But I mean, just like with anything else, the more you can invest in something, the more you're going to get back. Right? And that really goes with anything. It's all energy. The more you invest in something, the more you'll get back. Might not be right away, but eventually it will come back to you. Dwight says, good morning, everyone. Glad to see you all and glad to be here. Hope you're having a wonderful day in the booth. Oh, hi, Miss Angela. Hello, Dwight. Glad we get to see you this Thursday. Yes, because we missed our last Thursday meeting because of Thanksgiving. We were all packing food into our faces. Yes, I'm anxious to see everybody on Thursday. Paul says, howdy, 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 Paul in Arkansas. Howdy, howdy, howdy to you, Paul. Dylan says, hi, all. Hey, Dylan. Glad you're back, Caesar. I've done audiobooks, IVR, animation, YouTube, and audio dramas. My true love is animation or commercials. You have a great voice for both, for either. You actually have a great voice for probably anything that you wanted to do. You have a very versatile voice. Commercials because my voice suits them and they are quick. Yeah, I hear that a lot. A lot of voice artists would rather do commercial work every day, all day, because they're quick. They're 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. Right? I'm one of those that enjoy the long form. I am a long form narrator. I prefer the long form stuff. Probably because I get some education out of it. I usually learn something from what I'm narrating, and I find it interesting. Greg says, Greg from Texas. Good to have you, Greg. My cup of tea's boogieing to the music. I'm glad you're boogieing. Jim says, if I could make money producing audiobooks, then I might stay there more. You can. I mean, you can't, and not you, Jim, just generally speaking, but you can't expect to get a return on your investment in terms of time, audition, whatever it is. Really anything. You can't really expect to make money at everything right away in the beginning. You need time. You need time to not only establish yourself, but the foundation of your business. You also need to improve and grow, and all of that just takes time. It's a process. And everybody's process is going to be different because everybody's journey, experience, time to invest is going to be different. Right? But all I can tell you is just to keep going. Keep going. Because again, the more you invest, whether that's per day, per week, per month, per year, the more you invest, you're going to get that back. But you just have to keep going. And it will start to snowball at some point. Dylan says, and animation because it's fun to see a funny character with my voice. Yeah, it is for sure. I feel that way about medical devices. And I hear my voice on a medical device. It's still weird, but fun. Colin McKnight says, "Good morning. I haven't recorded in over 15 years and starting to relearn everything, hoping to cut my demo in the next week." Good for you and welcome back to the family. Welcome back to the family. Why? Oh, in the next week. So sometime this week? Why not today? Why not tonight? What are you waiting for? Do it. Jim says, "Good day from Memphis." Good day to you, Jim. David Brumfield, hello from Hamilton, Ontario. Hello to you, David. Tess is here. Hey, Tess. Hello from relatively cold Dracula. Never gets old. Paul says, "Hi, Angela et al. Currently 26 audiobooks completed. Look at you, one in progress. Around a dozen corporate videos, 140 plus, spokesperson videos, but all for one client. I'd like a broader range." Start seeking a broader range. And that is something else that I wanted to piggyback off of. If you're not afraid of being on camera, I get asked all the time to do on-camera work as well, to be sort of not only like a spokesperson for a product or a business, but to also demonstrate perhaps like how something works. Think of like someone, you signed up for a new app that might be a little bit difficult, or perhaps it's a sales pitch to buy or download the app, and you are hired to be the face of this is how, or this is why it'll benefit you, this is how you use it, sort of a thing. So there are those opportunities too. Also, if you, I heard of another person or a couple of people who do this, but to all moderate like Zoom meetings or conferences, things like that. Think about the equipment that you already have. If you're even in the beginning stages of voice acting or doing audiobook narration, is a good chance that you already have the equipment, meaning the microphone, you have the recording software. At this point, you might even be a little bit, versed in how Zoom works. I'm sure a lot of us are a lot more now after COVID and the world shut down. We had to do everything on Zoom. But I mean, those are those opportunities as well. There's so much out there if you just start to look, right? There's so much out there. Jim says, "But I was told I would be taken off the list of a site because I had not logged in recently. I logged in and saw a bunch of productions I am not interested in." Interesting. Yeah, I think some of these sites really want you to be active. They want you to be involved. They want you to come in and be a part of, if they've let you onto their roster or to whatever the site is, they want you to be active and available, right? And you're not always going to find stuff that you want to audition for, every day. Of course. John McLaughlin says, "Hi, Angela." Hello, John. Good to see you here. Thanks for stopping by. Tall Latin Mama says, "Shiver me timbers" from frigid North Carolina. What temperature is it? I have to know because I'm in the desert. It's 73 degrees here, and that's cold to me because my blood is thinned out too much. But what is frigid for you? Probably 30s or 40s or something, 20s. Monty Dines. Is it Dines or Deans? I'm always afraid of pronouncing people's names wrong. Hi from South Carolina. I am currently only focused on nonfiction books. I do mostly nonfiction too. When I was studying for IT industry certifications a couple of decades ago, I wish that some of those books were audiobooks. It's actually a good time to bring up something that I hear a lot. Pardon me while I chapstick. I've been asked several times by people who are in, they're going for higher education. They are taking courses and they are asking me to narrate their textbooks so they can, listen to them instead of reading them. And I want to caution you from doing that because obviously there are copyright issues with that. And I've had to turn down all of these jobs because it's copyright infringement. It just is. So you don't want to spend a lot of time producing or narrating an entire audiobook of a textbook just to come to realize that you're breaking the law, right? So it's unfortunate. But if you can reach out to the publisher of that textbook and perhaps ask them if they have or are considering an audiobook version of this textbook, that might be something to look into. But just be cautious of that. I've had a lot of people ask me that question. Brian Mitchell is here. Hello, Brian. Hello. Monty Deans. So I want to help others who would like to have them available for their very technical studies, but in the future I may expand my options. Yeah, that I would definitely reach out to the publishers to be on the safe side. Am I looking at that right? Prerna Lely? I know I probably totally butchered that and I apologize. I am an Indian. I naturally have an Indian accent while speaking English. I can force a U.S. accent, but it's exhausting to listen, honestly. What scope do I have in audio narration? I would go out there and look. Because being someone with a general American accent, I have always looked at what is applicable to me. I'm not really good at other kinds of accents. I know that that is not a strength of mine. So I embrace it. I accept it. So I only look for general American accents. So I'm not really looking so much at all of the other ones. But and this really goes for any of you that have a strong accent apart from general American, then you go out and look. Take a look. Because I have seen, in my mind's eye, I can see all of the different tick boxes for accents that people have, and Indian was definitely one of them. So go out there and look. Don't force yourself to speak in an accent that's not sustainable, or practice and learn a new accent. Having multiple accents is always great, especially if you're a voice actor or an audiobook narrator. Of course, but, having multiple accents is always a good thing. But if you can't sustain it, then, why do that to yourself? That makes sense. Kristen Downey says, I would love to do more. Not sure how to get started producing. Voiceover? What specifically? Producing what, Kristen? Jim says, it's the same as in any freelance endeavor. You have to do a wide variety of gigs and longer jobs and then see what pays the best. Yeah, absolutely. Experience teaches in any mode of creating. And how do you experience? By doing, by experimenting, by trying, by getting yourself out there and see what you like, see what comes back. Jim says, good for you, Caesar. I do the same because I love helping, as we should all. Low Spec Gamer Noob says, hi, everybody. Dawn from South Africa here. Hope you are all well. Thanks a ton for your awesome content, Angela. So helpful. Well, you're so welcome. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm glad it's helpful. Jamie Rod. Hey, Jamie. Hello, everyone. Currently, I have only completed audio. I speak well, I promise you. I only completed audiobooks, but my first one audition was for animation. It's indie, so it's taking a while to get done. P.S. I don't consider e-learning part of this. E-learning is not part of voiceover? Dylan says, if I'm my own CEO, do I need to yell at myself for watching a YouTube live stream while I'm working? If it's mine, it's permissible. Yes. No, don't yell at yourself. Because the CEO calls the shots. And if the CEO says to watch a live stream, then by all means watch a live stream. You got to follow what the boss says. Right? Right. Zen Narrative says, I've done a couple of audiobooks so far. I've also recorded guided meditations. I'd love to do other things too. Well, get out there and do it. Tess says, love it, Dylan. The answer is yes. Zen Narrative says, do most other types of VO work require that you record in stereo instead of mono? What should you choose if they don't specify? I always send everything as mono. I always send everything I record as mono. And I explained this, I think, in the audiobook. We did an audiobook. I think it was it last week or the week before? Anyway, the reason behind this is because, as you know, stereo is not two separate files, but two different tracks, perhaps, one designed for each ear. So when it comes to audiobooks or really anything else, we have no control over what the end user is listening to us on. So you want the experience to be the same out of either ear. For example, if the person listening to your voice is only using one earbud in one ear, we want everything to come through that one earbud instead of perhaps something else being lost. I mean, obviously it's going to be different dependent on what is actually on the audio file. If it's dialogue, it's probably going to be fine if it's in stereo versus mono. But I've gotten into the habit of just sending everything as mono. And if the end user, meaning the client or the client's client, if your client is a third party, if they ask you for a different kind of format, then you could give it to them in that format. No big deal. It takes seconds to convert something from wave to stereo, mono to stereo, or vice versa. So, but I've just gotten into the habit of sending everything as mono, unless otherwise specified, right? Glauwin says to Dylan, absolutely you do. Bad employee. You don't get paid for lounging. Don't listen to Glauwin. Dylan, you do what you want. If the CEO tells you to watch a live stream and it's mine, then do it. John says, I have produced one audiobook for ACX, currently accepted a contract for a firearms museum to do some button narration history. That's cool. My first live is live work. No idea where to go for that. I've done some live stuff before on Fiverr, and I think maybe one or two on Upwork, right? Don't ever discount Fiverr and Upwork. You've got Fortune 500 companies looking for freelancers on these sites. You never know who you're going to meet or what to be hired for on these sites. So don't ever discount them, despite what anybody says. So I have been found for live work on Fiverr is my point. Colin McKnight says, realistically, if treated like a full-time job, how long is average to start making a minimal livable wage? My company is laying off 9,000 people, and I'm concerned I'll have to be put off VO for a bit. That's the worst, especially around the holidays. I hope they don't. That's just cruel. But your question is loaded, Colin, because it's going to be different for everybody. I wish I had an easy answer for you. I just don't. Because in my experience over the last 6.5 years of doing this and then working with hundreds of new people at this point, everybody has a different trajectory. Everyone has a different path. Some people, it takes them months to see any kind of income coming in at all. Some people just take off like a rocket with their first couple auditions. It's insane. There's so much variability there. There really isn't a way for me to tell you what to expect. But the common theme with all of these people, and including myself, the more you put in, the more you get back out, right? Because again, it's not only finding the clients and doing the VO work, but it's also building the foundation of your business, which is super important. Because if you neglect your foundation and you just start focusing on the VO work, and then your VO work starts to take off, you don't have anything underneath it to support it, meaning, your website, your form of invoicing, you don't have all of the business stuff done before that starts, then that's just going to crumble underneath you because you won't have the time to address all of that stuff. So there are so many different aspects to this. But if you can start building what you can, the foundation, I always say build that foundation first, because you don't want it to crumble underneath you once you start to get, loaded with the income, right? So I feel like I'm going off on a tangent again. Long story short, just keep at it every day. Even, again, if you can dedicate 20 minutes, 30 minutes, building a part of this foundation and getting rolling, it'll eventually come back to you. For me personally, it was somewhere between a year and a half to 2 years where I left my employer. I fired my boss and became my own boss. So it took me about a year, let's just say about a year and a half to go full time with this. Some other people, it took them a few years. Some other people, it took them a few months. Everybody's going to have a different experience. Dylan says, if I click on it, to Tess and Glowen, but if I fire myself, I also fire my boss, right? Then how do I have the authority to fire my boss while being the boss? This is giving me a headache. I blame it. I'll take the blame. It's like a chicken and the egg thing. It is. I feel you, Dylan. Tanya says, hi, everyone. Tanya here from Manchester, England, longtime lurker. Hello, Tanya. Thank you for speaking up. I've been recording for LibriVox and also recording my own writing for samples. I was also invited to record a short video. I see where you said continued. Here it is. For my chorus to show how to use the app that goes with our website. I had to learn how to connect my phone screen to my computer, add audio files and effects, and edit the video. Good practice. You see? New skills. You learned new skills by having to do it and figure it out. Good for you. I'm proud of you. It's awesome. Glowen says to Colin, only you can answer that question. I'm starting to work toward replacing my current full-time income with this, and now I'm starting full throttle on it. No more procrastinating. That's right. Sounds like a t-shirt. No more But for me, it would be no more procrastinating. No procrastinating. Tess says it's a conundrum. Lose-lose. It is a conundrum. Paul says to Zen, voice is a point source, i.e. it comes from one place. So it should always be recorded in mono. If Post then wants to place it within a stereo image, that's up to them. Yeah, it really just comes down to what the client wants, but I always send everything as mono. Glowen says to Dylan, difficult paradox to figure out. Best of luck. May the force be with you, Dylan. John says, I have produced one book for ACX and just accepted a contract for button narration. I think we read this one already. Oh, but you added something. My first love is live work, MC and announcing, but I have no idea how to head that way. Jim says, how do you find podcast work? You could reach out to podcasters directly, or you could add a gig on Fiverr if you're on Fiverr for doing podcast intros, outros, recording a podcast in its entirety. You put yourself out there for it. Reach out to people who may need it. That's how you do that. Tanya says, that was a continuation. The narratives to Paul says, thank you. Appreciate your help. Right Track says, good morning, Angela, and everyone in the chat. Good morning to you. Caesar says, dentist phone tree. For removal of the lateral incisor, press 1. For removal of the second bicuspid, press 2. For maximal approximation, press 3. Can you hear my stomach? Oh my God, I'm hungry. Tess says to Jim, Fiverr is a good spot if you set up a podcast gig. That's also one of my best-selling gigs is the podcast gig. Oh, Jim, ASMR. If I can remember what it stands for. Here, let's just do a Google. I always forget what ASMR stands for. I'm sure somebody in the comments is already like, it's this. What does ASMR stands for? Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. There we go. I have a video on this too, or a course. I have a course on my website about all the different types of ASMR, or meditation, I should say, meditation healing with your voice. And one of those ways is ASMR. And ASMR essentially is, there's a multitude of different ways that this can help somebody. Everybody has a different trigger. It's something that the creator does, whether visually or audibly, that gives you like the tingles. Seriously, go look it up. Look it up on YouTube. Just punch in ASMR. Not right now. Wait till the live stream is over and then go do it. There's like specific sounds or what people are doing on the screen that just elicit like this tingly feeling for you that's sort of relaxing and calming to people. There's all kinds of different types of ASMR, and one of them is whispering. That's one of them. Let's not get too far into ASMR because some of it's out there, but you can go and explore. Oy vey, Caesar's back. Yes, he is. I have a spray bottle handy. Caretaker Saxon says, oh, yay, finally caught you live. Been digging through your archive, trying to get stuff together to get started. Well, good. Welcome to the family. And thank you for watching my content, my archive. It feels so weird to me that I'm such an introvert. You guys would never know, but I'm such an introvert. It always makes me feel kind of weird that people are like watching my videos. It makes me like, that's cool. That's awesome. But, right? Introverts, you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. My cup of tea says, I'm writing all this down, but is it possible to get a copy of that list that you used? What is a good way to do that? I wonder if I can upload it to like the community section for YouTube. I'll try and do that. But if you're in like my platinum group or something, then I'll put it in our group Google folder for you guys to reference. I'll figure something out. Or, I hate to say it, but you could always do team replay and just write them down as I say them. But I'll try to figure out a way to post it. Jim says, welcome back, Caesar. My cup of tea says I'm a list type of guy, and that's okay. I'm really not. But some people are, and that's cool. I mean, do what you gotta do. Caesar says, happy you noticed test. Jim, ASMR is autonomous sensory meridian response, usually known as sexy whispering. That's one of the types. There are many. There are many types. Jim says, me too, my cup. Glowen says, my cup of tea. You can rewatch this, usually about an hour later, to pause and make notes. Tess says, thumbs up. A cup of tea says, I try to do that, but it'll have to be after work. Thank you, Glowen. Jim says, my only audiobook so far is about meditation. Ify? It's Ify, right? Is that how you pronounce that? I know you told me that once, and I'm trying to like go through the files on my brain. Is it Ify? Hi. Hello to you. Dwight says, Angela, you have a lovely voice, and the first time I heard it, I thought, wow, this lady would be great sounding as a meditation and guide journey coach. Not surprised it is a real moneymaker for you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think a lot of the comments that I got before I was a voice artist was men specifically would tell me that I would be good as a adult phone operator, if you catch my drift. Not so much meditation. Glowen says to voiceover Angela, that's me. I was putting in 12 to 14 hour days at work, too exhausted by the time I got home to even eat some nights. Oh, that's a long day. That's a long day. I feel you. I've been there. And those aren't every night, though, are they? Are they? If so, then you might want to have a conversation with your boss, because that's just burnout waiting to happen. Jim says this chat will show up later, right? I like the list and don't mind or don't have time to write down all of this while recording. The chat doesn't show up later, but I do show everything on my screen, so that I guess that is a form of chat. Rustic Hillbilly, good morning. Good morning all from sunny Oregon. Beautiful day. I bet it is. I miss Oregon. Gotta go up there. Gotta come visit Oregon. Jim says, what does the short form work pay? It's going to depend on what you ask for, on what rate you set for short form work. But usually with short form work, if we're talking like commercial work and things, then we also have usage rights that we need to also add to the word count. Typically, you'll have a word count, like a amount of money per word, and then you also have usage rights depending on if whatever you're recording is going to be used on social media, if it's going to be used in a paid ad, if it's going to be just online, or is it going to be used regionally on TV or radio, or globally, or nationally. It's going to have some of those different usage permissions attached to it. If you go to gvaa.com, there is a rate guide there. That rate guide is pretty much the standard for voice artists. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more beginner friendly, you also have my good friend Anthony Pica's rate guide on his website. If you go to avosjourney.com, he has a good rate guide there also. And if you kind of take some notes on both and then come up with your own pricing somewhere in the middle with those, you could do that and then create your own rate guide. My Cup of Tea says, you'd be surprised how much time is available when you look at your phone usage statistics. Replace phone time with VO time. There you go. That's it right there, right? Easier said than done, but a good step forward. Yes. Yes. Stop staring at your phone and get in the studio. Jim says, I understand it just taking so much time. I am also looking at flying my drone for money. Yes, if you have a drone, you could work for real estate companies doing like aerial shots of the property. I mean, there's so much you can do with drones. Yes, do that, Jim. You've got a very pretty look for that work, Angela. What do you mean? What do you mean by that, Jim? On camera work. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But I don't offer on camera work. It just, introvert. I probably should though, just do it. Right Track says, hey, Angela, any advice on how to pace narration speed for specific categories? Trying to land more auditions in the self-help finance area. Any advice is appreciated. If we're talking, well, really anything, if you're explaining something technical or a how-to self-help, it's usually going to be some sort of e-learning or some sort of audiobook. You have to remember that when we read things with our eyes, we generally read things pretty quickly, right, to absorb the information because we're just used to reading. We've been reading all of our lives, right? So we tend to read really quickly. But the main thing to remember when you're doing these kinds of jobs is that the listener is not following along with you. They cannot see the words. So you consciously need to slow down to about 50% of your speaking speed so the listener can absorb everything that you're saying, right, with some thoughtful pauses in places. When you're making a point, when you're defining something, see how I just did all of that? I slowed down 75-50% of my normal speech. That's really what you need to remember when narrating that kind of stuff, or really anything that's long form. My cup of tea is, Jim, there should be an option to see the live chat in the replay. You may need to toggle comments to live chat replay or something like that. It may or may not be available. I'm not sure if the live, if the chat comments will show up again, but I do put them on my screen, if that helps. Maybe once once a week login. Oh, for that site. Frigid here too. 35. No. Mm-mm. Too cold for me. Monty, I'm not sure what that means. Tall Latin Mama says, to answer your earlier question, we woke up to 29 degrees and it is currently 43 with a wind chill of 35. Nope. Definitely nope. Nope. Monty says, thanks for the insight on textbooks. Absolutely. Tall Latin Mama says, on another note, I'm so stoked about the VO opportunities and much appreciate your list. I'm getting closer. Stuck in procrastinating phase right now. Stop it. Stop it. But again, recognizing that you're in that stage is everything. Because if we don't know that we're doing that, we could potentially be holding ourselves back for even longer than we originally were. Right? Because procrastinating essentially is that you're holding yourself back from moving forward because you're telling yourself that you need to keep researching XYZ. You need, as far as equipment, you need XYZ. I need to have something. There's something, place, person, whatever it is, there's something holding me back from getting started. That's what you're telling yourself. You can go. You can start. If you need permission from somebody, here's your permission. Just do it already. Don't hold yourself back by telling yourself that I need to learn this, or I need to know this, or I need to have this in order to move forward. You don't. Go. Go. Stop procrastinating. Jem says, yes, just make sure the person offering the audio version of the book is the author or rights holder. Yes. That's really what it comes down to anything that you're asked to narrate book-wise, is if the person that you're talking to owns the rights to the book. If they don't, I'm sorry, this is copyright infringement. Cannot do it. Sorry. Jim says, don't know what Indian Native American sounds like. YouTube. YouTube it. I'm sure you can find something. Caesar says to Kristen, you're already producing and have books out. You produce them. Yep. If you're making audiobooks, you are the producer. You are the narrator / producer. Caesar says to Prernalileli. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. There are lots of people who look for specific accents to match specific characters. Beyond that, try Facebook groups. That's a good one. Lots of Indian entrepreneurs who need a voice for their business. There you go. Jim says no point in recording VO in stereo. Unless, of course, the client asks for it. Jim says the 2 tracks clutters up the production. Caesar says to Zen, majority of mics are mono. If you need, or if you record stereo, it becomes redundant. Stereo recording requires 2 mics, 2 channels, or a specialty dual capsule mic. Now you're just showing off, Caesar. That records 2 channels. Lele, that's the easiest part for me, says thanks, Caesar. A great idea. Never thought of that. Dwight says, several children's books and also a couple of nonfiction books. They were the first for me and they were beginnerish. I am so much better now thanks to the likes of Angela, Wendy, Caesar, and Chris. Those are all people in our platinum group. Bizarre B. I've only done short VO roles for animation, games, and podcasts. I like doing silly voices. But I just got an offer to produce a whole audiobook. I'm excited, but mostly nervous. I love this channel. Well, you know what? We love you too, Bizarre B. And congratulations on getting that book. Don't be nervous. I know you will be anyway. I know I was. I was excited. I was anxious. I was terrified. But the process in doing it and then accomplishing it is just the confidence that you're going to have when it's done. It's like a tattoo, right? Once you get one, you're like, oh, I gotta get another one. Gotta get this another audiobook. Stat. Dwight says, I forgot to mention, today is a big day for me and my wife. Today we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. Who says dating doesn't work? Congratulations, Dwight. That's awesome. Happy anniversary. Caesar says, further, most vocal content, i.e. dialogue, is relegated to the center channel between left and right. Caesar, you're just showing off again. For clarity and separation from background elements such as ambient sounds and sound effects. Glowen says, congrats, Dwight. Happy anniversary. Whoops. Oh, Dylan, I almost deleted you. Congrats, Dwight. That's awesome. I'm glad that internet dating worked for you. That's awesome. Zen Narrative says to Caesar, thank you for your response. I appreciate the help. Caesar says, happy anniversary, Dwight. Best wishes, long marriage, and everything else. Always a pleasure, Zen Narratives. And then Caesar says, why isn't Eric here with the donuts that have that special white powder on them? You know what? I think this is the first. Oh, that's right. He's on Discord. He may be on our Discord. Eric has been here every week, at least popped in and say, hey, here's the donuts, but I'm not going to stay because I've got other stuff to do because I'm very important because I'm Eric. And he's on Discord. He's recording something. Nope, says hi, Angela from 50 Degree, Colorado. I just set up my studio and will be recording my first audition today. Good for you. I'm a retired pharmacist and interested in medical narration. Are you familiar with options? I've done a ton of medical narration, and I think if you have a background as a pharmacist, you'll do really well because you'll be able to get your mouth around some of these big words that some of us non-ex-pharmacists can say easily. And just food for thought for anybody watching, if you're having to look up terms and how to pronounce them, I recommend Merriam-Webster.com. Don't trust Google for pronunciations on anything. Go to Merriam-Webster.com and type in the word that you're trying to pronounce into the search bar at the top. It'll give you not only a phonetic spelling, but it'll also give you an audio clip of someone saying it. So that way you can say it out loud and mimic it, right? Lele to Tanya. LibriVox is where I wanted to start too. Any tips for a new beginner? Much appreciated. Start on LibriVox. That is the biggest tip I can give you. If you're looking to get into audiobooks, start on LibriVox. This is where you can, it's LibriVox.org. I think I have a banner. I do. LibriVox.org. This is where you can donate your time in narrating an audiobook that's in the public domain. It's a book in the public domain, meaning outside of copyright. And you can narrate the book in its entirety, a section, a chapter. It's really up to you to choose. And you go through the whole process of narrating, editing, mastering, formatting. And then you'll get a good feel of whether or not this is something that you can do, because you'll quickly discover that there's a whole lot more work to this than you originally thought. And narrating or speaking for hours on end is definitely, especially when you're emoting a lot, can be exhausting, physically exhausting, and can take a toll. So LibriVox is where I recommend new people go to kind of dip their toe in to see if this is something they want to do. It's a good place to start. And then it took my place away. Where was I? Here we go. Gary Micheloni says, if you are pretty much week-to-week income-wise, please do not go full-time VO. The stress from your unpaid bills will haunt you. Find a new job first. Yeah. I would never go full-time with any new endeavor unless you had a big chunk of savings to fall back on, just in case. And perhaps your new endeavor's income is outpacing your employer's income for a while, for at least a few months, maybe 6. You want to make sure that it's consistent. It's never going to be completely consistent. There's going to be ups and downs, but I mean enough. Whatever that dollar amount is for you, that is enough to cover all of your bills and expenses for the month, plus some, because we also have the taxes, right? Once you figure out health insurance and all of those things, you come up with that dollar amount and you're exceeding that for months. And then you also have a nice fallback, savings account. Yeah, I would not go full time yet. Bob Reet says, I'm my own worst enemy with procrastination, not only with recording, but also improving my quiet space. Too much room noise. Same. I had the same issues. But if you can figure out what's causing the noise and remove it or move it as far away from your microphone as you possibly can, that would definitely help. I totally forgot about my coffee sitting here. Oh God, we've been on for over an hour already. All right, let's get through these last comments. Punto How To says, I finally made it to a live stream. Welcome. This time is a bit hard from here in the UK as it is 5 p.m., so right on work, leaving off time and feeding the kids time. You gotta do those things. Don't neglect those things. Spazia says, question. I've embraced audio AI 2 years ago to stay up to date with new technology. Angela, what you do to diversify your services? What do you mean? As far as with AI? Jim says, put the list in platinum. I will, absolutely, as soon as the live stream is over. Lorna says, hi, Angela and everyone. Nice to join live from frosty and sunny Oregon. I started with LibriVox Gut to practice. I have done one ACX book, e-learning tech books, Tech Broke, then practice with Canva. Yes, Canva is another app that you definitely want to practice using because it will come in handy with not only your own content, your gig thumbnails, but with other clients, right? Clients use Canva a lot for presentations and things. So you want to get familiar with Canva and how to use it. Caesar says, IFA. IFA. Is that what I said, or did I say AFA? I think I was close. Was I close? IFA. Thank you, Caesar. Caesar says, just say Tifa and take the D out. Thank you. Dwight says, now that is funny. 1-900 Angela. No, don't make me get the spray bottle, Dwight, because I'll do it. Punto How To says, just to introduce myself to the group here, I have been doing videos and voiceover work here on YouTube for over 10 years. Recently made the move to ACX. Have just completed my first book. Congratulations. Glowen says, it was 6 days a week, and I am the boss. I was all building a new store for the company I work for and training new staff as they were needed as the store required them. Yeah, I bet you had your hands full. Glowen says, now things have equalized, and I'm able to create a normal type of schedule for myself. Good. Back to it. Punto How To says, I've just started work on my second audiobook, which is the first of a 2-part novel, so big learning curve. Rest. Make sure you have days to rest and hydrate. Lorna's Adventures After 50 says, my post cut off my computer and mic broke, so I practiced from my phone Canva app on the presentation mode, which has a record mode. And when I got laptop, where's the continuation? I don't see the continuation. Oh, no. Lele says, hey, Angela, I want to thank you for your videos. I set up a Fiverr gig watching your video. Also, thanks for encouragement for my previous question about Indian accent. Go look. I needed to hear that. Go look. Tall Latin Mama says, yes, ma'am. I hold my hand out for the hand slap mom face. Peak Parable says, I have found that audiobook is easier to get into voiceover work, but word count wise was a lower return on investment on word count. Yeah, audiobooks are a lot of work, but once you get up to industry standard, it becomes a little bit of a better return on your investment in terms of time. And then also, once you're at that industry standard rate of $250 per finished hour, you also reduce the amount of time it takes you to get the book done. Whereas perhaps in the beginning you were at like for every finished hour, it took you 8 hours to make that finished hour. At the point that you're at now, at the industry standard rate of $250 per finished hour, you're probably more like for every finished hour, it takes you 2 hours, right? So the more you do it, the faster you're going to get, the more streamlined your process is going to be, the less mistakes you make, the quicker you'll be able to edit, master, format. So the more you do it, the less time it's going to take you. So your rate will start to pay off at some point, right? Peak Parable says other projects has a greater ROI on word count, but more legwork to secure projects. Can be. Clown says, don't forget to hit that like button. Yes, tickle my like button, please, everybody. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Brian says, Purna. India is a huge country with a lot of industry growing, especially the tech sector. There is more than enough work there. You just need to find it. I know I've seen lots of tutorial videos with, I don't see a continuation. Dwight says, I believe Eric is preparing for an interview on a podcast following this. Oh, good for him. Lele says, Angela, you aren't the only one having difficulty pronouncing my name. I'm so sorry. I hate pronouncing people's names wrong. It's just one complicated Hindu name from India. You can call me Lele. Okay, good. Thank you for that. That works. Short and easy. I appreciate you trying. I do. Bizarre B says, I hope I can get addicted to VO like I'm addicted to tattoos. It'll come. Lele says, you are so right, Brian. I guess I just don't know the ways to get to producers. But that honestly is very encouraging. Reach out to them. I mean, Google can help you with anything, to find anyone, to find anything that you want to do. Whatever kind of voiceover that you're looking to get into, Google those words and then start to go down the rabbit hole. You'll find companies who make the content that you want to do voiceovers for. You do a little research. You go to each website. You do a little research on the company. Discover if they have in-house talent or if they hire freelancers. And if they hire freelancers, do they have a contact form where you can sign up to be considered to be on their roster? Or you can reach out to the casting director and ask if you can be placed on there, if there's room on their roster. I mean, these are the things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to do, like somebody said earlier, the legwork, right? There's no easy button. You have to do the work, and doing that work will pay off for you. But that is how it's done. And then make note of the email addresses of the people that you're corresponding with from each of these websites, and then reach out to them every so often. Merry Christmas. Just checking in to see if there's any, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Caretaker Saxon says, stares at her email waiting on my LibriVox activation. Jim says, it's lunchtime. Have a wonderful lunch. It's lunchtime for me after this, too, for sure. Hey, it's 11:11, or it was. Tess says, gotta run. See y'all Thursday night, Platinum peeps. Bye, Tess. See you later. Dylan says, maybe word tickle my like button different from now on, unless you were still trying to get to 900 more. In retrospect, probably shouldn't have said that. And I'm super surprised. I can feel Caesar holding back from making a comment. So for that, Caesar, I thank you for not commenting on that. I'm super surprised that he didn't. Anyway, all right, you guys, that is going to do it for me today. If there's something that you guys want to talk about in the future, then, put that in the comments below. Perhaps we can talk about that in a future live Q&A session here on my channel. But until then, go down those rabbit holes. Start discovering companies that make the kind of content that you want to do voiceovers for. Reach out to podcasters. I mean, go out there and reach out to these people. That life is, you have the world at your fingertips today. Utilize that. Utilize that technology to be able to reach anyone around the globe. Utilize that. Use it to your advantage. It's there. Use it. Right? All right. All right, guys. I'll see you guys next week. For those of you in my Platinum group, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Bye. Thank you for listening to She Lancer Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. That's me. For more information about me, visit my website, voiceoverangela.com, or hop on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.